Hello, Algebra. Welcome to Lesson 6.2, Translations, Rotations, and Combining Transformations, covering pages 141 to 155. It is a very lengthy lesson, so we will be dividing this into 2 days. Today we are going to concentrate on Part A, Translations. So let's go through our vocabulary, get this all written down. It will make more sense as we go through the examples and the try-its. So first of all, a translation. A translation is a transformation in which every point of the plane figure moves in the same direction by the same distance. The original object and the image are congruent. Every point on the object moves through the same distance in the same direction. Finally, the orientation of the object and that of the image are the same. Very important. This is the mathematical formula that we will be using. The coordinates of the image of a point, AB, when translated h units in the x direction, so the x part of the coordinate point is going to move either a positive or a negative direction on the x-axis, so the x direction, and then k units, either positive or negative, in the y direction, so up or down. So the x direction is right or left. Right if it's positive, left if it's negative. And then in the y direction, it's going to be either negative or positive 2. If it's negative, it's down. If it's positive, it's up. And you just add either way to those and you get your new point. And that's why you have this. So you're going to take a plus h, so x plus whatever direction you're moving on the x-axis, and b plus k, so the y part of the coordinate point, and whether you're moving negative or positive in the y direction. So basically, when all is said and done, you're going to see this really resembles Battleship. So it's kind of like when we did that map study and did latitude and longitude. So anyway, let's go right on to example 3. And we're going to see what this all means, okay? Down here, it's just a restatement of the math part. And the math part becomes really evident when we go to example 4. But I just want to show you how you can figure out the movement of something that you draw. So in example 3, they will first of all have us draw a trapezoid ABCD with the vertices A at 2, -1, B is going to be at 2, -3, C is going to be at 4, -3, and D is going to be at 3, -1, and we come up with this trapezoid. Now they want it translated -4 units in the x direction. So I'm going to be moving 4 units to the left in the x-axis. So I'm going to go to the left. And 3 units in the y direction. So after I go 4 units to the left, 3 units, which is positive, means I'm going to go 3 units up in the y direction. And then I'm going to translate this into this. So let's see how that happens. So my movement, my translation is 4 units in the x direction, 3 units in the y direction. And I do that with every single point. So starting with A, I go -4 units in the x direction, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 3 units in the y direction, so I go up 1, 2, 3. That's how I end up here. I'm going to go with D. I know that's not B, but I'm going to go with D next. So again, -4 units, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 3 up, 1, 2, 3. And now B, it's going to go -4, 4 to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3 up, 1, 2, 3. There I end up. And the same with C. 4 to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, and up 3 spaces, 1, 2, 3, and I end up there. So you can see how that just mimics Battleship in a little way. because you go one direction for everything, either left or right, and then you go another direction, either up or down. And in this case, we went left and then up. So that's how we end up with those vertices. It's, if you plot this and you can, and they actually give you the directions. It's just easy to do the counting and plot that second one. Just do your battleship thing. Now we're going to use this formula. This formula comes into play when we do example 4. Example 4, we're actually going to do example 4 and try it 4 because it involves a little math. Try it 3 is just more of this, and you've all played Battleship. You all know how to count. You know all the plot. We don't need to practice that. So let's take a look at example 4. Just going to shift some things around here. I'm going to move my book up because you can follow along in your own book. Let's see. So here we go. Get my book a little bit out of the way here. So example 4. Let's read that together. A translation T maps the point 5, 2 onto the point 1, 7, and point 1, negative 6 onto point P. You know what? I'm going to bring this back under here. I'm just going to kind of pull my book back gently so I don't bust it. Okay, here we go. Let's start this again. A translation T maps point 5, 2 onto the point 1, 7, and the point 1, negative 6 onto point P. Describe the translation T, find the coordinates of P, and then perform translation T on an entirely different point, Q, at 3, 3, for 2 consecutive times. What is that image? So, okay, how do we do all that? First, describe translation T. So they talk us through. The object point is 5, 2, and the image point is 1, 7. How did I get from 5, 2 to 1, 7? Well, that's where that formula comes in. Well, to get from 5 to 1, I add a negative 4. I add a negative 4, and then I get back to 1. So that's my direction. I go negative 4 units in the x direction. How do I get from 2 to 7? Well, here I add 5 units to 2 to get to 7, so I go 5 units in the y direction, positive 5 in the y. And that's exactly how you answer the question. So the translation T, or you could just write T equals negative 4 units in the x direction and 5 units in the y direction, because that's exactly what I found out I had to do to get from this to this in the x and this to this in the y. So that takes care of A. Now it says find the coordinates of P. Well, going back to the problem, it says I start at 1, negative 6. Well, in A, I found what my translation was. So I'm just going to apply that translation to this point, 1, negative 6. So in 1, negative 6, I'm going to map it by going negative 4 in the x direction. So it's going to be 1 plus that negative 4. And then I'm going to take my y, negative 6, and add 5 in the y direction. So here's my x direction and my y direction that I found in A. I'm just going to add that to each of those values, and I end up with negative 3, negative 1. And that's my new point. That is point P, negative 3, negative 1. Now the next one says, perform this translation on point Q. So this very same translation, negative 4 in the x direction, 5 in the y, and I'm going to perform it on point Q for 2 consecutive times. What is my image after I do 2 consecutive times? Off to the side, it just also points out that if you ever see this, T2, that means you do it twice, 2 consecutive times. So here we go. So we start at 3, 3, and now we're going to map it with our translation. So I'm going to map -4 and +5 to my x and my y. So 3 plus -4 is -1, and 3 plus 5 is 8. So now I'm at -1/8. Now I do the same thing to this answer. I'm going to map -4 and 5 to -1 and 8. So -1 plus -4 is -5, and 8 plus 5 is 13. Okay, now we're going to try it in 4. So let's get ready to take out our notebook and do some notes. I'm going to move this out of the way and reposition this so you can see everything. So try it 4 asks us, or tells us, first of all, that a translation T maps the point 2, 4 onto the point 5, -2, and point -4, 9 onto point X. So first of all, describe the translation. So I take the 2 points they have given me. So they mapped 2, 4 onto 5, -2. What did I need to add to my X value and my Y value to get that movement? So basically, I needed to add 3 in the X direction, because 2 plus 3 is 5. What did I need to do to get from 5 to -2, or excuse me, 4 to -2? I needed to add -6. And that got me to -2. So my movement, my translation, therefore, is 3 in the X direction and -6 in the Y direction. So now I'm going to apply that movement to everything else that they want me to do here. And the next one being, find the coordinates of X. Well, I start at 4 and 9, so I'm going to apply my movements to that. So -4 plus 3 and 9 plus -6 gets me to -1 and 3. So that gives me X. Now in letter C, they want me to start with the image Q at 3, -1. And what do I end up under the translation of T2? Well, T2, again, remember, is 2 consecutive times. So I start with, let's see, 3, -1. So I just kind of spread it out because I apply my translation right away. So 3 plus 3, because that's what's happening here, and -1 plus -6. So therefore, 3 plus 3 is 6, -1 and -6 is -7. So that's my first translation. Now I got to apply the +3 and -6 once more to this to get my second time. So I have 6 plus 3 and -7 plus -6. Therefore, I end up at 9, -13, which equals 2 translations, so T2. So there you go. So one is just drawing a figure and doing battleship according to whatever the movement, the translation of the movements are. And one is actually applying and figuring out what that translation is to find the given points that they ask for. Our assignment, as you can see, are 3 whole problems. Do pages 156 and 157. Do number 1, number 2, and number 5. It all deals with translations. If you have questions, please ask. If you got to watch anything over or slow it down to get the notes all down, please do. Again, if you have any questions, ask. Do good math.